Um, Maybe connecting with the travel VR, see if by any chance that might work. I'm not too sure.
Is that VR as in Voc Rehab?
Yes.
Cool. I think I think not on the youth side, but on the adult side, we have an equivalent connection. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's mostly what ours is too, but we're trying to get more of the youth involved.
awesome.
Another way you might look at, we have very few centers for independent living that are operating on tribal land. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. I think there's Assist in Yuma, Arizona, that is tribally run, I believe. It's one of the only, I think it's 121 centers on tribal land. I'm not sure that that's the right federal designation there. There used to be, and Kendra, you may know them because I'm pretty sure they were in Zuni, New Mexico. It was the Zuni, like entrepreneurial, ZEE. And they did a lot of work with the tribal community. So that might be another avenue, is to just, find out which centers for independent living are working on, working on tribal lands, and make that connection. And
I think yes, Zuni is one. Hemis is another one, and the biggest one that we tend to work with. Um, ugh, yeah, we don't get a whole lot. Like it's very much, I don't know about you guys, but it's very hard because they like to stick within their own community. So trying to get in there is very hard, unfortunately. We haven't been able to figure out a lot of avenues. We'll get maybe a referral here and there, but the majority of the time it's non-existent.
We actually have a pretty constant referral stream with the tribe, and I think it really comes down to those partnerships that we have. Um, kind of some of those things that have helped build the partnership were just interacting with or getting invited to the same type of thing. But then our SIL also has allowed us to kind of allot time for explicitly building relationship with the tribe. Whenever there's like open to the public events, we try to have one or two staff members go to the meeting or go to the events. And even for things like resource fairs, if the tribe is holding one, it's a no-brainer that we'll be going. But also things like that our local tribe holds a salmon festival, and so attending that and just kind of you as individuals who work for the SIL, we get kind of known and trusted more by the indigenous community, and then that kind of led into pretty strong referral stream that even now that some of the employees that were the direct people who forged that relationship, even though that they're now gone, kind of that trust was built in, and yeah.
thanks, Andy. Yeah, it is quite difficult to make those connections, but we always have to remember the elephant in the room. Why would the indigenous community trust us after all of the atrocities? So it is still, I get it. They protect themselves from us, and that's as history has told them they should. April has been pretty lucky over the years to have Indigenous inclusion on our board of directors. One of my most favorite people who, passed away many years ago was Mike Blatchford. And he was the executive director at Assist there in Yuma, Arizona on tribal land. And so that, I'm super thankful for that. We also had, I know a lot of you probably know Mike Beers. He was a board member, a youth peer mentor, now has, become this famous comedian out on the road, and, from the Blackfeet Nation. And so I think wherever you can make those connections, that's always beneficial, but we have to continue to try, we have to continue to reach out, and get, and mend those, the pain and suffering that we have caused and continue to cause, right? Because that's kind of the elephant in the room, is that we still do not hold up our end of the bargain. We still violate the treaties and the acts and the drilling on Indigenous land, and there's just a host of things that we continue to do to make those connections difficult. So yeah, if anybody has any ways that they've connected, that's always beneficial for the group, the collective, to continue to try to mend those fences. And it's a heavy lift.
You can still just put it in a
Jordan?
Hi, I was just thinking when you talked about drilling on tribal lands, relatedly, has anybody done a youth program or working on a youth curriculum involving environmental justice or activism before?
That is a great question. I don't know that I've seen anything within, the youth IL. I know that there is a youth movement right now, with tribal youth leaders, that was in response to the pipeline project kind of traversing the entirety of the country. And so I know that there's a movement out there. It's just going to, connecting our IL community to that. But that is a fabulous question and idea, Jordan. Andy?
So not Jordan, it doesn't have the triple intersection of Indigenous, environmental, and disability. But in California, our foundation for independent living, like I don't know what exactly they're called. They have a sub program called Yo Disabled and Proud, and they are currently working on a project to do for Earth Day, and I don't really know much details about it, but it's organizing youth with disabilities in a environmental justice sort of way. Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. I'm a fan of You're Disabled and Proud.
Yeah. If you'd like, I can connect you to the new person who's in charge of Yo.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Send an email introducing the two of you later.
Thanks, Andy. Jordan, that might be a good topic to take back to youth steering committee for the, maybe do a workshop at the April conference on, just kind of draw up some attention. How would we start that? How would we get that going? Because it's we're in a critical state right now, and it's, we're way behind the 8 ball there. So yeah, maybe we can look into what might be existing around, even in the just the Illinois area, since the April conference will be in Illinois, and try to bring in some local folks who might be able to address that. Not even just the youth, just the entirety of the conference. Andy?
Another thing that comes to mind, Jordan, is that a lot of the individuals who are the kind of youth leaders of the environmental movement at the moment are individuals who identify as having disabilities. So there kind of already is a lot of leadership from our community. Just I feel like, at least from what I've seen, IL hasn't been quite as connected to it, despite a lot of the great leaders being folks who publicly identify as having disabilities.
Yeah, this is Alyssa. And as I understand it, a lot of tribes don't even really have a word for disability. It just doesn't exist the same way that it does in the IL community. And so that's another, I don't know if it's a hurdle, but just it could be an issue with identifying with people when you're looking at it from through two different lenses. We obviously we have an entire movement in IL, and disability is spelled out in many places in many forms, and so that can be tricky. And that was another kind of a roadblock when we're centers are reaching out to tribal communities to form a partnership. When you're trying to form a partnership with a group who doesn't see disability the same way, they don't, everyone is the same. There's no at least that has been the information that has come to me over the years is, no, we don't identify people in that manner. We are all equals. And so that can be another tricky thing to navigate. But does anyone else, have any other information or any experiences they'd like to share about it? Okay, do we want to move on to a different topic? Maybe programming or starting a youth program in your community? Anyone want to tackle how to do that?
Hey, Alyssa, this is Jordan. I just wanted to take a minute to go through the chat on some comments that have popped up. Kendra Garcia suggested maybe including self-protection in the youth summer program. Jennifer says that her daughter is participating in a cool program called Boss, where she learns business skills, makes crafts, then sells them at the farmer's market. And Cora has a workshop called Friendships and Dating, which has been designed specifically for people with disabilities. That seems like something all youth would benefit from. Um, and Jennifer says they reached out to the tribal police in their area and has a connection there. They were working with youth at a previous job and had a bad experience. Um,
Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate that. All right, does anybody want to discuss their own, youth programs in their centers or work-life environment, or how to, the best way to start a youth program in their area at their center or silk? Okay, Katie Fisher put in the chat, does everyone charge for summer programs, or is it on organization's funding? Can anybody answer to that?
For our center, we will, like, ours will be free and we'll actually get reimbursed for some of what we're going to do this summer through the PREETS program with Voc Rehab. And then anything that we do that doesn't fall into that program, we would just pay for from our own funding.
Thanks, Kendra. Anybody else have a summer program that might be able to answer the funding question or payment? Okay, well, April doesn't have a youth program per se, but we should be getting geared up for the Lead On project that we started last year with the Ford Foundation. And it is, just gearing folks up, and then the kind of the crescendo is bringing youth to the April conference, to do Lead On, the discuss everything that they learned in Lead On, and it's a great place to network. So, be looking for that information when it comes out. I'll make sure that, it's disseminated far and wide so everyone has an opportunity to be involved, apply for, those scholarships and etc. Has anybody on the call been part of that Lead On that could maybe talk about that a little bit? Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, both Jordan and I were on Lead On last year. So Lead On itself, the term comes from Jason Dart's last great speech, in which he was a member of ADAPT, if I'm not mistaken. And he kind of did this great speech where he stated that basically the disability movement to continue to thrive needs new leaders. And he told the movement that he loves us and that it's time for us to lead on. And so when April was creating this program, they named it that. And in a lot of ways, it really does just that. It's it's kind of like a real nice introduction course to being a leader of the disability movement, for us young people who are passionate about IL and passionate about disability rights and accessibility and whatnot. And so it's just this really great workshop. It's fantastic for making friends. I've never really had friends from out of state, and now I have friends in a whole bunch of different states. Yeah, and you get to go to the conference for free. So like, woot woot.
Yeah, there's a lot of great topics that we cover. And I feel like anyone who is interested in the independent living movement or disability rights in general, like we had some folks participate that were from centers or working in centers for independent living, and other folks that were coming out of school and just in that transition age. Um, it's like a good part two to something like a youth leadership forum. If you have that in your state, um, you get to get a little bit more in depth. We had a lot of opportunities for reflecting on each of the sessions in journals. Um, and like Andy said, it's a great way to meet other folks throughout the US that are doing the same work and passionate about this.
Thank you both. I appreciate that. I was, of course, not involved as much with the lead on stuff. I did, the tracking and the flights and the things like that. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes open for the lead on information as it comes out. Because it is a premier education and opportunity to network with other youth and young people who are in the same field doing the same things. It's just a great opportunity, so April's very proud of that work. We've got just over 20 minutes left. Does anyone have any other topics that they would like to talk about or get feedback on that maybe were not part of that poll? Okay, anybody? I might be giving you 20 minutes back of your day. Does anyone have any other issues they want to discuss while we're all together?
Is anyone up to any cool youth organizing projects or systems advocacy?
We had kind of a fun project that was initiated from a high school student here. She's really passionate about systems advocacy, and we were having conversations about how, as a center for independent living, especially, like, we don't want to become known as like the bad guy. Like, we're not some sort of like police for the ADA or anything like that, but we can offer support to the community and to business owners about how to make their buildings more accessible. And so she led an art contest throughout the schools here in our town, and then the winner of the art contest design is going to be made into a sticker that we can give out to businesses that have made upgrades to accessibility in some way. Like, because part of it too is that we were like, well, we don't want to hand out awards saying something like that they're somehow like receiving a gold star because pretty much every business can still be striving towards being more accessible. So she developed, and along with some of the other youth peers, developed a website and this whole project that is going to be launching soon. So that was cool. And then what sprung out of that is that her and one other youth are gonna approach some of our state representatives to talk about getting a bill sponsored during our next legislative session about adding disability education into the schools. And so we're gonna try to partner maybe with the other IL centers in our state to kind of have a unified voice on that. But it's all really been driven by the one youth that's really good and really passionate about systems advocacy. But I'll put the link to our website in the chat in case anybody wants to check it out. There's not a ton on there yet since we haven't finished. Like we don't have the stickers back yet, so we haven't started handing them out yet. But there's exciting stuff happening here, but all because the youth here are just really into systems advocacy.
And this is Alyssa with April again. I will drop in the chat the April website. You'll find a lot of, anything that we're doing, any upcoming webinars, meetings, you'll find them on the April website along that right toolbar column. We've got a couple series left in Kelly's Kitchen, which is a food justice session. It's not youth specific, but it's, everyone is welcome to attend. I know that they've been, folks have been raving about them. There was, some cooking tutorials and things like that. So you can find that there, as well as any of the standing meetings that April does that you might want to be involved in. One of the ones is the emergency preparedness and disaster response. As we were talking, about the climate justice and things like that. So if that's a passion of yours, I would encourage you to join that committee. It is public facing, so you're welcome to be on there. I think we have got the advocacy committee. There's lots of things going on that you can get involved in. And I put the April website in the chat. You'll also be able to find, information on the conference when it starts to become available. If anyone has dynamic programs that they would like to maybe do a workshop at the April conference, we will be looking for that as well. As will, I'm sure the youth. We always have youth specific tracks throughout the April conference. So it doesn't have to be part of the youth pre-con, which is kind of youth steering committee drives that, and they put together the agenda. But if you have something that you're doing at your center that is youth oriented, that could be part of the general April conference, and we would welcome a call for workshop proposal on that. Does anybody have anything else? We got about 15 minutes left. Or shall I give you back the rest of your afternoon? All right, going once, twice. Okay, I'm gonna call it for today. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate you coming. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm dropping my email in the chat. And just as soon as we have the youth specialist position staffed up, I'm sure the calls will get better. So I appreciate your patience with me. And thank you to our interpreter and our cart writer and to all of you for being here. And we will see you next month. Bye-bye.